Welcome to your daily English listening practice. Today, we have a complex sci-fi mystery with an unexpected twist: the coffee that talked. Elias was an overworked architect in a hurry. He was the kind of person who always bought the same thing: a large, strong black coffee from the same busy cafe, the Morning Star, every weekday morning. One cold Wednesday, Elias was rushing to a meeting. He grabbed his usual cup, paid the young barista, and ran out. He took his first sip in the elevator. As the hot, bitter liquid touched his tongue, Elias heard a whisper. It was low and metallic, like dry leaves scraping pavement. The voice said, "Don't take the yellow cab. The brakes will fail." Elias stopped breathing. He looked around the elevator. Empty. He stared at his coffee cup. He felt foolish. When he reached the street, he saw a line of taxis. A bright yellow cab pulled up right in front of him. Elias remembered the voice, and feeling very stupid, he waved the cab away. He waited 5 extra minutes for a blue taxi. As the blue taxi drove past the next intersection, Elias saw the yellow cab he had refused. It had crashed into a truck. The front was completely destroyed. The brakes had clearly failed. Elias's hands began to shake. The coffee had saved his life. The next day, Elias rushed to the Morning Star. He bought the same black coffee. He took a sip. The metallic whisper returned. "Your job interview tomorrow. They already chose the other candidate. Don't waste your time." Elias was skeptical, but canceled the interview. Later that day, he received an email. The company apologized. The position was filled yesterday. Elias realized the coffee was a prophet, but a terrifying one. It only whispered bad news or warnings of disaster. For a week, Elias used the coffee. It warned him not to invest in a stock that instantly failed. It told him not to walk down a street where a scaffold later collapsed. His life became safe, but full of dread and avoidance. Finally, Elias couldn't stand the fear. He needed to know the origin of the voice. He went back to the Morning Star and watched the barista. It was the same young man, always quiet, always focused on the coffee machine. On the next morning, Elias ordered his coffee, and instead of leaving, he stood and watched. The barista prepared the coffee perfectly, poured the black liquid, and handed it to Elias. Elias whispered to the barista, holding the prophetic cup. "Why?" Elias whispered. "Why does this coffee tell me terrible things?" The barista looked up. His eyes were wide and tired. He looked genuinely terrified. He glanced quickly at the coffee machine behind him, a large, shiny, silver machine. The barista whispered back, "It only gives bad news, sir, because it is the machine that talks, not me. It knows everything that will go wrong." "But why?" Elias demanded. The barista leaned closer, his voice cracking. "Because, sir, the machine is old. It is dying. Every bad thing it tells you is its last attempt to make the world better before it completely breaks. It only has a few days left." Elias was stunned. The voice was not a demon, it was a dying attempt at redemption. Elias looked down at his coffee. The voice was whispering again. "The machine will break completely tomorrow morning at 8:05 a.m. It will be a small electrical fire. You will be here. You must tell the owner." The next morning, Elias rushed to the Morning Star at 7:59 a.m. He found the owner and frantically explained the machine's final prophecy. The owner laughed, thinking Elias was crazy. Elias stood back and watched. At 8:05 a.m., the machine let out a loud crack. A small puff of smoke and sparks appeared, and the machine went completely dark. It was a small electrical fire, just as predicted. But as the sparks faded, Elias looked at the owner, who was now terrified. Then Elias looked back at the machine. It was now silent, completely finally silent. Elias realized that the machine had told him about the accident, the failed investment, and the fire. The voice had been a guide, saving many lives. Elias took one last, long look at the silent machine and walked out, feeling a profound loss. As Elias crossed the street, he took his last sip of the cold coffee. He had forgotten one thing. The voice always had a final and devastating warning. The whisper returned, weaker this time, but terribly clear. You are safe, but the barista who stood next to the machine, he is fired today for negligence. His life is ruined. Elias stopped walking. He had focused on saving lives, but by proving the machine's prophecy true, he had inadvertently destroyed the only person who was kind enough to explain the source of the prophetic voice. Elias looked back at the cafe, feeling the true bitter taste of prophetic knowledge.
Now, let's practice your understanding.
1. What was the first warning the coffee gave Elias? 2. What object did the barista say was the source of the voice? 3. What was the final devastating consequence of Elias proving the machine was right? Thank you for your daily practice. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more English stories tomorrow.